You're listening to Montreal Now with Aaron Rand and Natasha Hall on CJAD 800.
That is Jim Mennie over at the Montreal Gazette. By the way, if you want to weigh in on the text line, let us know what's going on in your area. By all means, 514-800 is the text line. We'll pass that information along. Jim, are you okay where you are?
Well, I had a bit of action about 2 minutes before I came on air. I was fine for the whole day. It was kind of crazy because my power went off for like maybe 12 seconds. But, of course, everything had to restart, including my Wi-Fi. So I was running around like Geordie LaForge down in engineering under attack, and I was hitting all these panels and replugging stuff. Everything's up and running now. But what is clear today, guys, the lesson we are relearning is we need a stick-proof power distribution system.
Yep.
I remember back in, and all of this, even this morning, when the rain started coming down, that little ticky-tack sound that freezing rain makes, it took me right back to 98. It reminded me of that first day of 98, and I was like, oh, okay, don't be stupid. It was a storm of the century, this and that, and blah, 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 and here we are. And it's not going to be 98 all over again, but I remember in the aftermath of this great storm of the century, they said, never again, we will not allow trees to come close to our... And Natasha, in the hood, right? That was the whole thing. You know, it's so gorgeous. We have these vaulted trees going over the streets and this and that, and they all came crashing down like an Old Testament act of God. Never again, we'll be making sure we prune the trees. Good job you did on that there, City of Montreal, although you probably were as sincere as all those people who said, I'm going to go out buy 3 generators and 25 tons of candles next time it happens. So, yeah, here we are, caught short again, but this is it. I'm not an engineer. I barely know how electricity works. But I know when I hear over and over and over and over again, as a reporter and as a citizen and as a taxpayer, well, if the branches are hit, maybe we should do something about the proximity of the branches to the wires, like it or not.
Yeah, listen, we're never going to have, I'm sure there are some countries out there, I don't know them off the top of my head, that have their power lines, underground, as we'd love to have here. That'll only take about $5 gazillion to do, though, so I'm happy.
I'm not talking about burying stuff underground. I'm talking about pruning branches. But I'll tell you, if, God forbid, they ever did that, the Coalition for the Protection of Branches would be out there in full force down everybody's throat.
Aren't you the president? I thought you were the president of that,
point.
Jim.
Yeah.
No, I'm the coalition for getting squirrels out of my tree.
Okay, got it.
Which a power failure may do. Jim, Jean Charest is in the news. He wins his lawsuit against UPAC. Not a bad chunk of change, $385,000. But beyond that, what does this tell you about UPAC?
It's a victory for all of us. It's a victory for. Listen, UPAC, and it was formed under the Charest government. It was a response to allegations of corruption in the construction industry. It was a very laudable goal. It was a completely politicized, weaponized tool. The idea and the judgment awarding. I mean, he only got $35,000 in moral damages. The rest, the $385,000 or the $350,000, it's all punitive, and so it bloody well should be. This was nothing more than a stage-managed smear campaign against Jean Charest. I don't care. Investigate them all you want, okay? There's something there. There's nothing there. Who knows? That's what you guys get paid to do. But the judge is going, it wasn't small leaks. There was like truckloads of stuff going to various media outlets, most of them Québécois, most of them the Journal de Montréal, okay? And it did. His name, whether he likes it or not, whether UPAC likes it or not, has been inextricably linked to this smear. And I would not be entirely surprised. Listen, it's almost like they're selling off the furniture now. I wouldn't be surprised if you see the plug pulled on UPAC in the end, because quite clearly this was a huge mistake. They were, in terms of their own operations, they were dysfunctional. They were not very successful. There was a lot of feuding going on, a lot of accusations. That's the leaker. This is the leaker. This was a terrible idea, but it was a political response to the opposition. I remember it well. It was that the PQ were up chanting, "We've got to have a special squad. This is a national crisis." So they threw this thing together, and the rest is, as they say, history. And as I say, if this time it was Jean Charest, but when you've got cops deliberately leaking personal information to the media, that is an issue that has to be addressed even more strongly than a large libel settlement. That has got to be addressed in legislation. We can't let this happen again. This is a very, very dangerous precedent, and it's a precedent that I think should be absolutely erased.
Last thing, real quick, let's talk about this. Kind of came out of the blue. Bernard Dranville now standing up in the National Assembly. He's getting help from the PQ. Do they want to ban prayer in schools? Did I understand this right?
Do. Yes, they do. Well, first of all, up until now, prayer was banned in schools, as far as I know. No, when I was a kid, we went through the whole, rigmarole of the Lord's Prayer and whatever. As far as I know, you don't pray in schools anymore. These were special areas put aside to 2 Laval schools, apparently for Muslim kids, to say their prayers. And at first, he seemed to have been gobsmacked. Dranville yesterday said, well, I don't think it should be limited to one religion. But then he turned around and says, there's no place for prayer. Schools are not a place to pray. And, despite all the hubbub over Bill 21, I'll bet you folding money that a lot of people who are against Bill 21 will actually agree with Bernard Dranville and say, no, not in schools. Schools are secular areas, and, there should be no religion in schools, if only because, it's certainly for Francophones, the experience they had, right? A lot of older Francophones now grew up in schools that are run by priests and nuns. Mm-hmm. So they perhaps have that bad memory. But all that said, it's going to be a very, very interesting situation to see where this goes, because I have a sneaking suspicion most Quebecers, regardless of their linguistic origin, or indeed perhaps their ethnic origin, think, you know what, schools are not places to pray.
Okay, we shall see. This is going to be a bigger story, I imagine, through the course of the week when we start hearing other people weighing in.
The problem right now is we're under attack by branches.
It's true. So true.
That's the big story. All right. Jim, thank you. Stay safe.
You too.